Hey, what's up? You're with Miss Loretta Princess.
Hey, what's up? This is Santanera, and you're in the house.
Hola, hola, Big Red Chula here, and you're rolling with the Culture Queens.
Woo! So, girl, a lot has happened since the last time we saw each other at the barbecue.
Busy, busy, busy. Good times.
Yeah.
Hey, but that was a badass video we did with Two Dink.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
legit music video right there.
It was crazy.
all
I
your
didn't even know.
cars.
I had no idea that we were gonna do a music video like that. You know, I thought
It's
we
a
were just gonna
surprise.
be.
We're just kicking it.
Yeah.
It's always a
dancing.
music video. We got lowriders
it's
though.
pretty much just turned out into a video. And man,
Yeah.
she's doing so good. We wish to thank the best because you know she is a real one. Support her. Make sure you
Very
check her
talented.
out. It's been a great time, man. And you know, we was at Coachella yesterday. We went
Synergy.
to the Synergy Festival. Shout outs to Coachella Car Club for having us, for being so welcoming, you know.
Oh.
Man, everybody just treated us so nice. It was a good time, you know.
I see you guys dancing.
Yeah,
still sore.
put me some Mexican music and all
Yes.
that. And Mac Dre, I'm gonna get up. I'm gonna get up and dance, you know. But
Yeah.
it was a good time. We see you over there in the hops in my city,
Yes.
Orange County.
Yes, it was Anaheim. It was fun. Definitely a good time. Went out with the ladies, mingled a little bit, seen the hop. The food was delicious. Like, you can't go wrong with those shows.
Yeah.
Just supporting, those people. So
Yeah, so that's good. So a lot is coming up. Thanksgiving, Christmas.
it's gonna be busy.
Shout out to the Dodgers though.
Yeah.
They won the World
Woo!
Series. Los Dodgers.
Los Dodgers, that was so badass. It hasn't happened in a long time, and to see so much people come out and show them love.
Yeah.
I mean, that Ice Cube.
Okay, so Ice Cube put it down. He is
Hell
so
yeah.
gangster with it. Man, he was hyping up the crowd. He was hyping up even the New Yorkers, you know?
Yeah. It was a good day for sure, man.
Yeah.
It was a whole vibe. LA's a vibe. Like Tupac said, you gotta be there to know it. So, much love to LA.
We got a singer in the house now.
Yeah. I'm gonna start doing corridos. I wanna do this corrido, you know what I mean? Like, where you firme vatos, you know what I mean? So we'll see. It's just for fun,
Yeah.
Why do you think we put corridos in there? DJ Kid Unite. I was like,
oh yeah,
you gotta play some corridos for Santanera.
The mariachi was
Got
there.
dancing.
Oh, yeah, we had a good ass time, dude. I really
Mariachi del Alma.
They keep playing mariachi. Now I'm gonna really have a shot or a drink or something. No, I don't drink, but I was like, man. This
Well,
is
my show in March 22nd in Palm Springs at the Agua Caliente Casino. That's my next show. So we're gonna have the Alma de Coachella, all the women mariachi. So and we got the whole Lady Lane again this year. It's gonna be dope. So
we're gonna have
getting ready for that.
Yes.
Get those cars
Definitely
ready, ladies.
Come on down.
Yeah.
So we have a special guest coming up. I'm so excited for this new guest that's coming through. You want to introduce her?
Such talent.
Yes, we have the lovely Mia of Lovely Hue Photography.
Woo! Welcome.
Thank you for having me here, you guys. I'm super honored and grateful for this opportunity.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for coming.
I've been a fan. My producer told me about your work, and I looked at and I've been a fan. And the way you do your takes are beautiful. You just tell a story. You capture the moment. And we were like, let's get her here. Let's try to get her here, and we finally got you here.
You got such an eye for photography.
The shots. Just right here when I came in, I was there for 5 minutes just taking in everything, the makeup,
Beautiful.
the stance. It's
Beautiful.
amazing.
I love it. I love our culture, and I'm glad to, be able to share with the world, what a beautiful, beautiful culture that we have.
Yeah, definitely. And you do that, I see there's like a lot of homegirls. You take a lot of pictures of that.
Definitely things that I grew up with, and it's my culture. And so my whole goal is to highlight, the beauty of it.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about your journey to becoming and getting here? Because there's a whole lot to tell about you, and...
Most definitely. So, I chose a very difficult road, and it's just the way my path went. And so, growing up in the valley, like, you get in trouble as a kid. That's what we did, And so that path eventually led me to prison. And I served 12 years in prison. And it's been a journey. It's a difficult road. And, it's it's a journey that led me to where I am today, and I'm very grateful to be out here, and I'm very grateful for second chances, and so my way of giving back to my community is through photography, through my art, and my road was full of pain, full of adversity, full of difficulties, and so what I do now is I take that pain and I turn it into art. And although it was a very hard life lesson, I use it. I'm not mad about it. I'm not, of course everybody has some levels of regret, but it brought me to where I am today, and for that I'm incredibly grateful for this second chance, at life.
And sometimes those hard lessons make us who we are, and sometimes we got to go through those hard roads to get where we need to be, but you're here now and you're changing it around, and that's so beautiful.
Yeah, and it's a lot of hard work. I didn't just get out of prison and then things just fell in my lap. I worked really hard at them, and I'm about to graduate from Cal State with my bachelor's degree in psychology.
There you go.
So everybody can change their lives around. It doesn't matter how far down you fell, you can always get up. And I say this because, being incarcerated for 12 years, that's a lot in itself, but there was other stuff that I went through. I was pregnant when I got arrested, and so I had to deal with that pregnancy, being locked up, I was fighting life without at that time. And when I gave birth, I gave birth handcuffed, and so I was in solitary confinement for 3 years. And so yes, I did prison, but I also did it in a really rough way.
Traumatizing.
Very traumatizing. And so to stand where I'm at now, I hope that it gives hope to others. No matter how far down, no matter if you're in a domestic violence situation, if you're in substance abuse, if you go to prison, you yourself can turn your life around. Can't nobody do it for you, but you can do it. And I'm here standing as somebody who has done that, and I stand amongst other people. A lot of my friends were also locked up, and they've turned their lives around, and so a lot of them are doing great things. They're entrepreneurs, they're mothers now, they're doing so much for the community, and I'm so proud to be amongst that community, that people that have changed their lives or turned their lives around.
That's amazing.
What a
That's
journey.
good to hear.
And
Definitely.
what inspired you to choose the photography?
So it's I've always been artistic, and before I got locked up, I was a video editor, and this was back in the day when it was hard.
Wow.
So what it was and even when I got out, to pay for some of my college books, I painted and I sold my paintings, and there goes a college book because they're expensive. And what happened one day was one of my friends that I was locked up with, she's like, "Hey, Mia," she called me up. She's like, "Hey, you still doing photography? I need a photo shoot." And I think a light bulb went on inside my brain, and I was like, "Oh shoot, wait, I am a photographer. Wait, I am artistic." And then so she brought that up, and it kind of lit something inside of me, and I went out that day, and I bought a camera, and I was like, I'm gonna do this. And I sat down and I really kind of made a plan of what I wanted to photograph and what I wanted to shine a light on and what I wanted to share to the world with. And so, of course, I knew I wanted my culture, and I wanted, to show the beauty of a culture that's so full of, adversities, yet we are resilient and we persevere no matter what. And it's a strong, rich community full of love and camaraderie. And so because of that, I was like, this is my goal. I want to shine a light on the beauty of this whole culture that's always being discriminated against, that's always, having to deal with prejudices and stereotypes and all the ugliness that gets associated with my culture. And so to change the narrative of that, my whole purpose is I'm gonna shine a light on the beauty of it.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and you have done that. Do you remember one of your first pictures that you took that you was like this, or what was your first picture that you took that you were like?
So, like I was like, dang, what am I gonna do? Like, how do I get into this game that's like being dominated by so many other wonderful photographers, right? But what's gonna make me stand out? And so, like, I wasn't gonna photograph things that I didn't know anything about. So I called up one of my homegirls that I was locked up with, her and her daughter, and I was like, "Hey, I'm gonna take some pictures of you. Is that cool?" And she was like, "Hell yeah!"
She's all for it.
Let's go.
I'm ready.
And it's one of my first photo shoot, and they came out beautiful, and when I took a look at them, like, so when I'm doing photo shoots, people notice, like, when I'm taking the pictures and I'm looking back at what I'm capturing, and then I have that smile come across my face, and they're like, "Oh yeah,
You got it.
You got it.
You got the shot. You got the shot.
Right? And so, I'm proud of every single photograph I take. I appreciate all of the people involved in my photo shoots. I use my community a lot. I don't just go out there and it's just me. Like my homegirls are in it, my homeboys are in it, the homies are in it, people that the homies are in it, and
Like
the
familia.
homies, right? And the homies' kids are in it, and it, the low riders that come in. It's a community effort.
Yeah.
Right? Because I don't have low riders sitting in my backyard. I reach out to my community. I'm like, "Hey, who wants any low riders out in the LA area? Any low
We
riders?
got the low riders for you, girl. We got them. We got them right here. You got three. One right here. We're pulling up.
Yeah, so I reach out to my community, and thank God my community is like family.
Embraces you. I see that. I see that you put it out there. I seen it on your page, and I see how they come out. You have one
Beautiful.
of Orange County's finest over there, Chula, and they're just. It's just the capturing, the
Beautiful.
eyeliner, the everything. It's just so perfect, and
So clear.
And I think your community loves you for that, because you do tell a story, the barrio, and we love that. I love that. It's just about community and really showing the raza, like you said. We always been seen in a negative way, low riders, and I think we all kind of trying to do that, like to show, and
in a positive
things
way.
are changing.
And that's what we do. We go out, we hang out. Like yesterday, what were you guys doing? I seen you guys having a great time dancing.
Yeah.
You guys were enjoying the moment. That's our culture. It was a car show, concert. For myself, it was the same thing. I went from work. I went from work early a.m. straight to a car show afterwards, because I enjoy it. I enjoyed being around our gente. I enjoy being around the beautiful cars, So that to me is inspiring, and then you're bettering the community because the people are coming out vending. I bought a couple, merchandise from a few vendors, and also
supporting the gente right there.
They're supporting them.
Always
Had some poppers and some taquitos. That's what we're there for.
And I think that we are starting to support more our gente, our vendors. We're really like, it's kind of, we're like, let's keep that money in the brown. And
it's hard out there. It's hard.
But it's like,
small businesses.
This is art. It goes up high prices. I know that you don't do it. You have told us like that's not what you do, but there's talented artists like you, and they should be forefront now. It's our time. I think it's the Chicana movement. It's our time. Even when we have at the Sam's, and we could all just hope that it goes good. But I think that we're out there as a community, as the Chicano community. We're like actually now putting ourselves out there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a beautiful thing, and that's what one of my main goals as well, to uplift ourselves, right? Uplift our communities, and I do it all the time in photo shoots. I'll reach out to local brands and Chicano owned brands, and I'm like, "Hey, can you donate some items? I'm going to do a photo shoot." And so far, the response has been wonderful. Wow. Like everybody I ask, "Hell yeah, I'm going to send you some t-shirts." Yeah,
because it helps promote their brand too.
It helps promote their brand, and it uplifts our community, right? My whole main purpose is it's very deliberate, right? It's stop making rich companies richer. Support your own.
Yeah.
Support your Chicano-owned businesses. Be original. Why look like everybody else
Be
when
original.
you can be like part of us? Like support.
Us is being cool now. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it is.
Look at
And
Japan.
it is.
Yeah.
Like you go to different countries and then they love Chicano culture.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
You
look
know?
at Japan. They're like dressing in the Charlie Browns and all that, the Nike Cortezes. It's
Most
crazy to see that on
definitely.
TV.
It's a beautiful culture, and that's
They
the
love
thing.
it.
Like you see it in movies all the time. Like you see the gangsters in the movies all the time, and you're there rooting for them, right? You're not rooting for the cop. You're there rooting for like that.
No, I mean, like,
cholo
get it.
right there.
Exactly.
Make your money, boy, right? And so like, and it's funny. Like I went to Indonesia. I went to Bali. And it's a little third world country, right? It's tiny. It's a little island. And even there on the streets, like they had a Cinco de Mayo, like a flyer. Like our culture is celebrated worldwide, whether you want to believe it or not. It's a beautiful culture.
Yeah, it
You
sure
know?
is. Yes.
And still to this day, especially like what we're going through now, like there's just so many negative stereotypes around us, right? They want the border talk and immigrant talk, and people forget, like, you want to be like us. You're over there sitting eating our tacos. Like,
They like our Mexican food.
right? Like it's all of it. I mean, the whole culture of it, from the food to the dress to like the slang, the talk, the beauty of it, the art, like it. Who doesn't love raza? Who doesn't love Chicano? It's beautiful.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's beautiful.
That's why your pictures are so beautiful. It's like, you just look at them. It's like art, but it's our gente, and it's like we're looking at ourselves, but it's just like, wow, they pop. Yeah. My question, like, I know you did this, coming out of prison, but in prison, was there something that clicked or something that happened that you were like, I'm going to get into art? Like, what inspired you?
So, like, prison is it's like hell, right? You can't escape it. It's its own world. You can't just have a bad day and be like, I'm out. Like I'm gonna go for a ride. Yeah. Like you're stuck. You got to deal with this. So you got to have coping skills in there. And at the time, I didn't know what coping skills was. Like I just knew like I like to draw, so I'm gonna draw, and I'm gonna paint, and I'm gonna do tattoos for like our friends and everybody in there. And what happened one day is when you first get into prison, you do like a kind of like a questionnaire, see where your education status is, see what you've done in the past. And I was a video editor before, like I said, right? And I knew my stuff, so I not thinking anything of it. I was like, yeah, video editor, photographer, blah blah blah. Well, it turns out a few years later, one of the staffs at CIW, they got walked off, right? It happens all the time. They get caught doing something they're not supposed to. So they didn't have nobody running that department. So I guess they must have like reviewed like all the inmates and stuff, and they're like, oh shoot, we need her. She knows what to do. And so I remember like one of the staff asking me, hey, how would you feel about running one of our studio here? And I was like, yeah, I could do it. So I ended up running the whole thing, was making all the prison videos, was doing all the photography, like the graduations and just the different groups that they had, and they're just photographing everything. And you know what? I thrived because I was creating art, right? And so like everybody noticed, all the staff noticed, and they let me run it how I wanted to run it. Because
you were good at it. They could see.
They knew they got it for free, right? Like, I'm making pennies in there by the hour. But yeah, so there's like some videos and there's some photography in there that, man, I wish I could get my hands on again. I mean, it's state property now, but like, I remember like I did create some artistic photographs in there, like some badass. That would be amazing if we could see those. I wish I could get my hands on those, but
that got you out of like feeling like you were in prison, like
so I was thriving, right? Like I was already picturing, okay, I got to edit this video and I'm gonna put in this music, and at that time we didn't even have good music in that office, and so I was like borrowing CDs from like all the other homies, right? Like, hey, what you got? You got?
Needed a DJ up in there
putting songs to these videos, and people. Wow. And so now, like these classes that they were presenting and showing these videos, they had cool music in there now. So now everybody's like, all right, we can deal with this. We can watch this video. Like it's cool,
Yeah.
And so even back then, like I'm always trying to like, bring in our culture to it, and Chicano rap rap was in a lot of those videos, you know. And so it's just
That's
cool.
amazing.
Like,
CDC, what was it? What was it? CDC? Because I know women's prison is different, or is it still CDCR?
it's still CDCR.
Shoot those videos over here! Come on now, we want to see them.
Definitely.
We want to see the artwork.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Now we're very intrigued.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hit us up, Culture Queens.
Yeah, and you're right about that. About people coping in there, doing
Has to
something.
be
You know
hard.
what I
Yeah.
mean? Because it's hell, and going through that. I know that there's constantly laws changing, and I'm really looking forward to working along CDCR to make those changes, because there's a lot of things that are not right in there.
Man, I've seen a lot of things, and that's what's something I do now. Like, we were at the state capitol earlier this year advocating for the Mandela Act, and it's, the solitary confinement, and a lot of people don't understand, like, you put somebody in a cage and you think that that's punishment and that they're going to come out and they're going to be like, okay, I'm not going to do it no more. No, you're going to make that person an angry individual. Like, they're holding in all this pain and they can't let it out because they're stuck, locked down 24 hours, 23 hours a day. And so we advocate like that. That's not rehabilitation. That's not doing anything but damaging that person more, and they're going to come out of solitary confinement, and they're not going to be a good inmate, like they've got all this rage now. So what does it really do? Does it benefit anybody?
No, they really
That's
need to rehabilitate, because like I said, there's a lot of laws changing and a lot of people are coming out, and they gotta really. And I know they're doing all the school now. They get to go to school, so there's a little bit changing, but there's still gotta be more change. And this is a platform for you to express all of that if you want to. We're with the movement. We need to be the voices for our peoples that don't have a voice.
Most definitely. I saw a lot of things in prison that weren't right, and you have to remember, especially in a women's prison, these women were already traumatized before they came in. Mm-hmm. A lot of them had experienced abuse. A lot of them have experienced substance abuse, teenage pregnancy, gang affiliation. Just they're traumatized, right? And so you put them in a prison that re-traumatizes them, because now they're dealing with sexual assaults from staff, rapes, and there was a year in CIW where it was so many suicides. It was so bad. All the cops bringing in the dope, so these girls were going crazy and just couldn't cope, couldn't handle it. And even from staff, I saw 3 wardens get walked off for embezzlement.
Wow.
Like, something is wrong, and it's not the inmates. You know what I mean? It's coming from higher places. And so, I advocate for my women in there. I came from there. I've seen things. It's really, really sad what women go in there. There's no rehabilitation in there. What it is you're imprisoning these women and re-traumatizing them instead of helping them. Yeah. Like, there's real mental health issues that need to be dealt with, and nobody's really helping these women. As a matter of fact, right now, there is men walking on the women's prison. And why? They manipulated the laws. So now they're saying they're transgender. And these are not your average people, average men walking the female yards. No, these are serial rapists that are walking these yards. And so now what are we doing? We're re-traumatizing our women in there. Like, are you really helping?
Yeah,
that's crazy.
That's traumatizing.
And it's happening in there. It's been out. I don't want to go into it a bit too much, but there's going to be somebody that's working there that knows that this is happening, and we got to address that, because if a man goes in there, no matter if if he hasn't transitioned, he's still a man. So we need to talk about this more, and we need to really get on whoever we gotta reach out to, let them know that, hey, we're not cool with this, and whatever we need to do, we're gonna do to address this issues, because it doesn't matter. You're an inmate, people do crimes because a lot of people were on drugs and stuff, so they don't deserve to be treated that way at all. You know what I mean? They still. So I know I heard that this has happened, and I believe, to me, it's kind of dear, and this is our platform to talk about whatever issues So,
Thank you for allowing me to speak about this.
I cannot believe that, like, it's shocking that they would lock up the men with these women in prison. Whether you have
That's
your
crazy.
private part chopped off or tucked in, like, that's wrong, period. You're a born a man, you need to be in a fucking prison.
And like I have, so even if they were transgender, they came from a PC yard, right? They came from a protective custody yard into a women's yard. Why are they not in protective custody on a women's yard? Like, why are they allowed to be celled up with a woman? Like, their cellies are females. So what do you think happens when the doors get locked? And it's and a lot of these women, they're traumatized. So they're thinking, oh, I got a boyfriend. No, what you're dating is a serial rapist. Like, don't forget.
Yeah.
But these are traumatized women, and we're still trying to help them heal, and there is no healing. And so once one man got in, somebody else followed suit. And and now it's like, okay, now these PC men know how to manipulate the laws, and they're getting surgeries done, and guess who's paying for those surgeries?
Yeah,
and these are not cheap surgeries. These are
The state?
these are like $10,000-$15,000 surgeries per surgery. So who's paying for it? The taxpayers are paying for that.
Yeah.
And so, and it's just an ugliness. I remember I was there when he first rolled up to the yard, and he was shouting at somebody else, "I'll rape you too!" Like, and nobody's doing anything. And this is like a big man. This isn't like a little dude. Like, this is like a full-grown man walking the yard.
That's
with girlfriends.
Yeah, we need to maintain our women safe.
No, seriously.
First and foremost, yeah, we do. I heard about him. We have heard the story, so we are aware. And our president said that he was going to start changing some of those things. So I hope that this could reach and see what's going on, because this is not fair. You know what I mean? So let's see what changes are to come. But we're definitely gonna push forward for something to be done. This is just.
We definitely need advocacy for that, and the more we speak about it, the more society knows about it.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's like a lot of towns that don't even
imagine.
They could not even imagine what's really happening
in the prisons in California.
I didn't know too much about it until we were speaking about it
on
a few days ago.
I didn't know.
Yeah. And like, these women have families. These women have been through enough things, and when you get sentenced to prison, your sentence is to stay away from society and do your time. But all this extra stuff, all this extra traumatizing stuff, that's cruel. That's cruel and unusual punishment, and that's what needs to get changed. That's what we advocate for. And at being a woman, like, that's a scary thing. I go into a prison, and now I got to worry about rape. And and then so that's not part of my sentence. That's not part of any woman's sentence to be worried to be raped inside of there.
And since it's happening, why aren't you guys addressing it? I mean, why are you not removing this person off the yards? Because he's committing a crime inside, So remove him.
There is AdSeg in prison. Yeah. Why is he not in there, where he can't be around the actual women? And there's a lot of things that happen in there like that, and that's why platforms like you guys, it's so beneficial to get this information out, that you're providing a service to women who have no voice right now. And so thank you so much for that, and for allowing me speak on it, because it's something that means something to me.
Yeah.
And for a lot of people that don't know, like, why I'm in school, why I'm in psychology classes, is so that I can change what I can change. After psychology, I'm trying to head into law school for policy changes, and I want to be able to fight for our community from a position where I'm able to do that. And so I work hard.
That's wonderful.
I work really hard. Like, I don't go to class and try to just pass my classes. No, I'm in there struggling, trying to get A's, because what kind of lawyer would you want? Would you want somebody who just passed, or would you want somebody who's going to fight with a passion
and make a difference?
and got straight A's in classes. Right now, I have a 3.9 GPA.
I love that.
Congratulations, girl.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Hey, we're rooting for
Proud
you.
of you, and
know
we're
what?
here for whatever, anytime you want to come to this platform.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
Yeah.
We're proud of you.
And
for
you know,
sure.
it's not easy. And for anybody who sees me and thinks, oh, I want what she has, you have to work at it. So put in that work, put in that effort, put in that time. If you want to make change, you can make change, but you got to put that effort in it. And you know, there's a lot of people like me that are formerly incarcerated in hitting those college books and hitting those college campuses, and we're there and we're trying to make this change. And there's a lot of us. A lot of the podcasts that I've been on it's the same platform, right? It's on the educational level. Like, shout out to rising scholars who put me on there, and formerly incarcerated, also going to school and trying to make changes. And we do this together, collectively.
Yeah.
It takes more than just one person, you know, it takes a village to make change. And that's what we're doing. And that's what that we're out there hitting those books, you know, for a lot of people that don't know, like, yeah, we can go to college, and yes, we're making differences.
That's
Exactly.
inspiring.
So change could be made. You know, don't let nobody tell you different. Change could be made. She's an example of it, and we're very proud of you. And
Thank you.
You know, as a Chicanas, we all feel like we had that same. When we came together with this podcast, we all had that mentality where we wanna, you know, bring it back home to our raza and teach, and you know, yeah, we do have a lot of fun, but it you know, when it's real issues, it gets real, and we're here to expose it. You know what I mean? And
definitely.
and we love you and we support you. And
We
you
support
know,
you, girl.
Thank you.
so
Thank you
proud,
for doing what you're
proud
doing.
of all that you have done. But let's go into the beautiful your pictures, man. Like,
Thank you. Yeah. So, and that's something else. Like, I'm not just going to snap a picture. Everything is done deliberately, you know, like these are photographs, like these 3 photographs that I have up here. Like, you can see this is Rasa looking and being beautiful.
So tell us more about like solitary confinement. Like we talked about that. Like how did that influence you? Like,
you know, it was definitely an influence that you can see in all my photography. So and you know, some of my photography is about to be in some magazines, and they're like, can you lighten them up? They're a little dark. That's one of the main reasons to my photography, that you'll see, like, it's dark. And it represents all the natural light that I went without for 3 years while I was in solitary confinement. Like, all of my pictures have meaning, and that is something very meaningful. No, I'm not going to lighten them up.
Don't change them.
They're dark for a reason, and that represents, like, those miserable 3 years where I did not have natural light. And so that's just one example of, you know, how my background influenced the art that I create today.
how is solitary confinement? Because a lot of people don't know exactly like what it is.
It's like a mental breakdown. Like if for anybody who has had like any sort of breakdown, the mental breakdown is the worst, right? Because it's your mind controls you, right? And so that's what they do. They put you in there. They want to break you down. What it is that it, like, people like me, like, no, it doesn't break me down. What it makes me do is become more angry and become more ruthless. And those were hard, especially because I had to do some of that while being pregnant and then giving birth and coming right back into solitary confinement. And so, like, for me, that is one of the worst experiences of my life. Here I am pregnant, about to give birth to the most beautiful gift that I can possibly do, and I did it in the ugliest way, you know. And I remember, you know, being handcuffed to that chair, to that bed, that hospital bed, and the doctors. My body's going through stress. Anybody who's given birth knows, like, you're not gonna get up in the middle of birth and run away. You know what I mean? Like,
but you're handcuffed to the hospital bed, huh?
It is painful. And so, like, even the doctor was, like, I was under stress. My baby was under stress. Like, I had to have an emergency C-section just because of all that stress. And I can't even move my arm. Like, I am in pain. And so I remember the doctor saying to the CO, can you unhandcuff her? And the CO's response was no. And so here I am giving birth handcuffed, staying in the hospital for 3 days, my dad coming up to pick up my son, and then going right back into solitary confinement. Like, those were some dark, dark years for me. And, it took many years of working on myself to really get out of that, like, depression, in that dark world that I closed myself in. It was hard to rebuild myself after that. And, that's another thing. Like, I hope to inspire people with the story, and I share this story, even though it's hard for me to talk about. I share it because if I can get through something like that, I promise you, whatever it is that you're going through, you can go through it, and you can come out a shining light. And solitary confinement was there to try to break me down. And I'm happy to say that no, it did not break me down. What it did was it made me stronger. I rebuilt myself brick by brick until I became a person that you can't step on anymore. You can't shut me up anymore. Like, I am victorious now. And if I can do it, then anybody can do it.
Amazing.
Wow, it is.
You almost brought me to tears.
Man.
Oh, that's rough. Look at me too. Yeah, but I know. I'm like, it'll make me cry.
Yeah. Sorry you went through all that, should nobody deserve that, and I always heard, like, it's prison inside prison, you know what I mean? And I'm glad that you're here, and I'm glad that you're living life, and I'm glad that,
and you're making a difference.
Yeah, you are.
Like, you're not just going to school to make money. Money's not driving you. It's making a difference for your community, for the women, for everybody that was in the prison system, So it's definitely...
that is my community, and that's who I'm trying to help. Just because I've seen all the injustices, and photography is a way for me to give myself a bigger platform. Like, yes, prison's ugly, but that's not our whole culture. It's not everything. It might be a part of our history. We're always getting locked up from the Pachuco days. Like, we're always being discriminated against, and that doesn't even matter, because, like, anybody can come out here after doing life sentences and change their life, bring beauty back into this world. There's so many people that are got out of prison, and now they're actors, they're entrepreneurs, they have their own makeup line, they have their own brands, and we're making a difference now. Like, we're going to use that pain that society put on us. We're going to take that pain and we're going to turn it into something beautiful.
Well, you're definitely the example of that, People think they have their life hard. That's not even close to what you went through. And
you're going to inspire thousands.
Yeah, you're an inspiration.
Yeah.
I know.
It's like, man, like, just keep your head up, people. You know what I mean? It's hard, but, it's like I said, sometimes you got to go through that to become this, and I think you're going places, and I think you're going to make a lot of changes, and we're looking forward to
and even this, somebody watching this, you probably changed their mindset. They're probably going through a rough time. It's like, you know what, I don't have it that rough. Like, your story will inspire.
Thank you. And that's the whole point. Like, this is what I do, and and I always give back. I give back to my community. I still go into prisons, this time as a civilian, as a guest, and I go back to those institutions, and I try to share, like, there is hope. There is still hope. If you got that life sentence, guess what? There's laws changing. There's hope that you're going to get out. There's hope that you can make a difference when you get out. There's hope that you can inspire children that are going through what we went through and change their narratives, Exactly. And there's so much hope, and that's what I do, and I try to spread that hope, and that's my main mission. And it's crazy, but I don't know if you guys know who Hopes is. Like, he's a graffiti artist, right? So he's all over the walls, LA. He's all over. He's statewide. He's countrywide. He's worldwide, actually. I think he just did some of his graffiti in El Salvador, Louisiana. He's everywhere, right? He's everywhere.
He's worldwide for sure.
He's worldwide for sure. And so, like, I remember I reached out to him because I love street art. I love art, any kind of art. Beautiful. It does not matter to me. And so, like, if your canvas is the walls, it's still art, right? so I remember I reached out to him and I was like, hey, would you mind being photographed? And so like for a lot of graffiti artists, no, they don't like to show their face. It's not about that. It's about their art, right? And so
they're stamped it, like
and so like it took a little while, but then he's like, you know what, I'm gonna give you a shot. And I photograph, him creating his art, and it's a beautiful thing. Like it's some of my favorite photographs are from like the graffiti artists that I've photographed, and I went into a university a couple weeks ago, and I was speaking about art, right? And I was speaking about exactly what I'm doing now, sharing my story and speaking about it. And I held one of the photographs, and I was like, dude, does anybody know who Hopes is? And the kids, they're young, they're in their 20s, they're 19, 18, and they're like, of course we know who Hopes is, like, and some of the kids were like, yeah, like even just seeing the word Hopes gives us hope. Aww. And so like, you might, there's people out there like, oh, it's graffiti, it's just ugly, bad stereotypes. They don't see the art in it. There's art, and somehow college students are being inspired by that, and so like we've got to look at these things and change that narrative. It's not ugly. It's beautiful. Yeah. And I hope that even those photos that I took like shines a light on graffiti artists and graffiti art.
Yeah. Well, you know what? It is changing, because you saw those towers over there by the stadium, It's a piece of art, you know what I mean? And yeah, it's not everything that they thought or they said it was ugly, like low riding. We're low people, everything is changing, and people are embracing other cultures, you know what I mean? It's finally here, and like I said, we are finally here, we have arrived. One of my favorite pictures is with these. I see you take pictures of kids. You do, and you have like a story about one of your friends.
I love taking photographs of children because they are our future, and it's generational, right? Our culture is generation by generation by generation, and what's crazy is when I was in prison, I bonded with a lot of those women. Like they're my family now. I've got nieces and primas, and because we make families in there, right? So one of my really good friends, she did 17 years. I did 12 years. She did 17 years. This is a strong, independent woman. And I had scheduled a photo shoot for Chicana-owned businesses. I was trying to, uplift my community. And I think like 2 days before the actual photo shoot, I had like a vision of what I wanted to also photograph. And I was like, like, it just kind of hit me like, I need my friend's twin babies in this photograph, right? So I called her up and I'm like, hey, I want you to come to this photo shoot. And she's all like, oh, okay, but what do I buy for the kids? Like, what do they wear?
Last minute.
And then you know how stressful it is to be a mom. You're like,
and what too?
You got all these things, and these twins are, they're just 1 year old, and so she was all stressed out, and I was like, it doesn't even matter, just bring them. Like I just felt very strongly about this, right? And that photograph I took of her twins, they're wearing the Charlie Brown. One of the twins has a bandana on her head. They're wearing gold, like, and they're sitting in a lowrider owned by a woman. And so I look at this photo and I'm just like, wow, like this is why I do what I do. This photograph is the most beautiful photograph I've ever taken in my life, right? And so a woman photographer, a woman, my homegirl from prison, her twin daughters, the lowrider that was there is from a female-owned lowrider. The jewelry that the kids are wearing is from a Chicano woman-owned business. And I'm looking at this photograph and I'm like, this is why I do what I do. This picture, and I've had them in different exhibitions,
so powerful.
And it's like, this is a generational culture picture. It speaks volumes, right? Like it's these babies, our future, representing the culture, and not just that, but they are in history now.
Yeah.
right? Because these photographs are making history. This is what's happening right now as we speak. It's like a movement, right? Chicana culture is rich right now. It's overflowing. The cups are overflowing. And yet these babies have no idea. But from 20 years from now, they're going to look back and be like, I'm a part of history because my mom and my tia, like, we made this happen. And it's a beautiful thing.
Love it.
Beautiful.
We're crying over here.
I know. We can't wait to see those photos.
How beautiful is that?
So, Mia, how do you hope that your story will inspire the world?
So the world's a big place, right? But, I think, I hope that my story brings other people inspiration and motivation to get up and make that change. Like, do whatever it is that you need to do to uplift your community, to uplift your family, to uplift yourself, and bring beauty back into this world. Change the narrative of your story, and rise. And that's my big hope, is that somebody can see my story and say, well, she did it with all that baggage, then I can do it.
Definitely.
Most definitely.
It's definitely inspiring. Thank you so much for that.
You.
I'm sure there's more that we can't put into this podcast, but I mean, this is why we do this. The Culture Queens, we bring awareness and inspire people, and I know for sure you inspired people already. Once this is out, I'm inspired. You almost brought me to tears, but thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you so much. You don't even know.
Thank you. Thank you, ladies, for having me.
Where they could find you?
So I'm on Instagram as Lovely Hue Photography. I'm pretty sure I'm the only Lovely Hue Photography on there.
The only one and only.
One and only.
Look her up. Culture Queens, we out.
We out.
We're out.